Hey, good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Michael.
Hey, Yemi.
How's it going?
Oh, doing okay. Just trying to get a.
I think your mic is going off a little bit again. I wasn't able to hear you.
Yeah, sorry about that. This computer randomly cuts out still, and I still haven't figured out what exactly causes it, especially when I don't even have my hands on the keyboard or anything. So
Right. Okay. Well, we can hear you now, so you're all good.
perfect. Yeah, luckily I've figured out how to fix it within a couple of seconds. So good. So I'm just getting people in here. Did you have a good rest of your day after bridge duties were complete?
Yeah, I actually did. I took my brother to the park. That was nice. Yeah.
Oh, very cool. Definitely. And this will definitely be a day where want you and Natalie's support in terms of sharing your experiences of both doing remote and then what student success means to you. So we'll definitely talk about that today, which is good.
Okay. Awesome. Morning. Morning.
Hey, morning, Natalie. Oh, and Yami, I think I finally have an answer to your question. I've noticed that the recordings for previous meetings have gone up within their actual modules. So where everyone originally signed on for the specific modules, that's where they're putting the videos, because I saw there was stuff for the first day up there already. And I'm guessing they're probably working on day 2 stuff right now because I get it kind of like towards the end of the day, where I get the recording sent to me and then I forward it to them so that way they can put it on there. So
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I also reached out to Ricky and he let me know that as well. Yeah,
okay.
and it seems like Ashley, like she tries to get them up by the end of the day every day, but sometimes it might not happen. But he did let me know that they'll be in the same modules. So yeah,
Great.
thank.
No problem. And it's tough because I know Ashley's dealing with 11 different cohorts with 11 videos to make sure to get in the right spot. So I appreciate all the work that she does. So, and thank you both for letting people in as they're coming in for this morning.
No problem. Yeah, we had a meeting this morning,
Mhm.
and they said that they're like a day behind with the videos,
Mhm.
but they're hoping to get that done soon. So just kind of have some patience for them with the whole recordings.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're all in the new frontier here. So and Yemi and Natalie, what is our total number? So if everybody's here, including the two of you and myself, what is our final number? Is it like I'm guessing it's somewhere in like the 26, 27, 28 range? I always just want to find a number to know that everybody's here.
I think it's 28.
Yeah, I think 28.
Yeah.
Okay. When I used to do field trips a lot with students, I'd always make sure, okay, we're leaving with 50. I got to make sure I bring 50 home. So, and 9 years worth of field trips, I never lost anybody. So,
Good. I had one time when I was in elementary, was it or middle school? No, I think it was elementary, like 6th grade. We went to like this farm and we left, and I think we left one student behind.
oh,
And I think we returned, or I think we had like two different buses and one returned, but my bus didn't.
yeah, we took there was one year we took 100 and it was just over 100 students to Disneyland, and we made them wear these awful lime green T-shirts. I mean, they are like, think of the most disgusting lime green color you can possibly think of and put that on a T-shirt. So I'd always go around and I'd look and I'm like, oh, there's my student there in the ugly T-shirt. So and we had like one student who like couldn't find their way out of the park at like the end, and it was like 11 o'clock at night, and we're like, oh my goodness, this was a foolish mistake that we did. Needless to say, we did not take 100 students to Disneyland in the future, but but still didn't lose anybody. Cool. All right. Well, I'm seeing about 23 participants, and we are at 9:06, so I definitely want to get started. And if everybody could please turn your camera on so I can see you, that would be great. Again, we're all looking how we look at 9 a.m., so it's all good. So, and today we're going to go over a few different things, and it's going to be a lot of how-to. And we'll talk about, how we might look at this remote learning piece as we head into the semester, and then also talking about ways that students can be successful. And it's great because we have two successful students with Yami and Natalie with us already who can talk about their experiences and everything. Just a quick announcement, I put it in the announcements page. I have linked the one-on-one sign-up sheet to the actual Canvas, so hopefully that's one less email y'all have to go and search for. You can just go into the Canvas page and see, and the student resources, it should be the very bottom one. It should link fine, and I think I already saw one student sign up for a one-on-one for today, so I hope that worked out okay in terms of using it with that method. So again, definitely encouraging everybody to meet with me before registration so we can talk about kind of what's going on, especially if you're a student who's had AP courses, which I know many of you have. It's good so that way we can figure it out, and I don't recommend something that you've actually already completed in high school. And even if you don't have any AP courses or transfer credit, it's great to just sort of lay out the groundwork and see what's coming up. So yeah, please feel free to use that sign up. Also wanted to announce that the Heritage Group meeting that's happening today is the Asian Pacific Islanders group. So I will go ahead and toss a link into the chat right now so you all have that, and that's also in the Canvas page as well. But I always like having multiple means of access to that. So let me just snatch that link real quick. Yeah. So that is there in the chat for you. And then let's take a look, pull back up the agenda, right? So we'll do some of that sharing real quick, and then I want to just review the Redwood Credit Union financial literacy mini modules that are happening. So that's actually something that's happening tomorrow. And they're modules that you'll go through, and I'll just show how to click through them. It may look like there's a lot of them, but they're actually all very short and have just really interesting stuff about how to budget things in college, how to work with a checking account, how to do kind of those financial things, which aren't always as easy as they seem. And then there'll also be workshops later on in the week for financial aid as well. So it's going to be really helpful to have a lot of that information set up so you feel knowledgeable about those pieces heading into college. But I want to talk now about just some college success tips. And I know a lot of you have probably heard different things from either your high school counselor, or maybe you're in a class like Avid or part of a program like Talent Search or Upward Bound that really supported you and talked about those kind of tips and tricks when it comes to college. And all that stuff is super helpful. And it also just seems to be this thing that I've noticed having worked with students for a long time is they get to college and they go, oh, like that maybe wasn't the way I expected and things like that, which is why I think it's great that we have bridge leaders with us in order to talk about their experiences. So Yemi and Natalie, if you don't mind me putting you on the spot, I wanted to have you talk to our students this morning a bit about what your transition was like from high school to college and going back to that moment a couple of years ago where you made that first couple of weeks of school and what that felt like, and then just talking about some of like the things you used to make college successful for you, and then we can get into the remote learning piece in a bit, but want to hear your voices this morning, definitely.
So my experience from high school to college, it was kind of tough because I went to like a high school where college was an option, but it wasn't really promoted unless you were an Avid. And you didn't really see students kind of motivated to go to college. So once I like came into Sonoma State, I realized that kind of the importance of college and taking like the advantage of using your resources. Kind of studying wise and getting on that path is hard because you're very distracted or you're very excited, I think, with everything that's new from your dorms to just kind of the events, and you kind of get distracted on the reason you're there, which is to go to school. But I think after a while, I just realized that I'm there for school, and school, which is catching up really fast, and it goes by fast. So just kind of taking it day by day was something that you kind of have to realize. And also I've noticed that self-care is a really important thing, especially during your first year, because you're going to feel overwhelmed. I felt overwhelmed and homesick, very, very homesick. But I think I've overcome it, and it's been a journey since then.
Yeah, for me, pretty similar to Nat. I feel like my school didn't do much in like trying to promote college a lot for like underrepresented students. And personally for me, I was an undocumented student. So with that, I didn't really know any other students. I only knew one other person who was undocumented in my high school. And like, so for that, like, it wasn't even something that I spoke about a lot or like knew much about resources. And I think going into Sonoma State is where I really found a group of other people who are going through the same thing as me. And then it really allowed me to be more open and be able to find more resources. And so kind of like Nat said as well, like definitely look out for those resources and utilize them, because, you know, college is a whole new world. It comes with whole new culture, whole new experiences, and different classes and everything. So I think it really allowed me to be more open and really advocate for myself, because in high school you will probably have an advisor or somebody, teachers are always telling you, oh, do this, do that. But college, you're going to become your best advocate. You're going to be the one looking out for yourself, and you're going to know what you need. So I think that's something that really, I saw the big change within high school and college, is I had to start really looking out for what I needed and know what I needed to succeed. So that was something that I really, I saw like a difference. And then also, um, also just connecting with people. I think I've mentioned before, like students, they're also your biggest resources. They're going through exactly what you're going through, and many times know how you're feeling as well. So I think that really college also really allowed me to find those core people who I will rely on, and I know will be there when I need them. And so that's truly allowed me to kind of be where I am today. And they motivate you. So who you hang around with is like kind of what you will lead to, and like who you are. And so look for those people who will motivate you and who are trying to go through the same path that you are. So
Yeah, I'm sorry, Michael. I agree with Yami. Everything she said, just advocating for yourself, because you do have those favorites, like teachers you had in high school were like, oh, I can tell you something, and like maybe you can help me out, and like others that keep track on like you turning in your work, like, oh, like you didn't turn in this assignment, like can you turn it in this time? But professors and on college, some are very nice and be like, some of y'all are missing my like work, but some are very more of like, you have to be able to keep track on what your responsibilities are. And with what Yami said, just kind of making and kind of taking in all the resources we're giving you, because in reality, your tuition is paying for everything you use and do on campus. So if you're paying this tuition, I really suggest you take advantage of everything that kind of SSU is providing you in general. So
No, absolutely. There's so much that both Natalie and Jamie said that were excellent that it would take way too long to expand on everything they said. But I wanted to catch a couple of points, and they both mentioned being your own advocate. I like to think of college as like the resources are not going to come to you. You have to go to the resources. And so I want you to use our time during Bridge to learn all the names of the resources, all the locations of the resources, who's the director of that program, who's the person you email to contact for that program. And for those of you that have had the one-on-ones with me, you know that I'm very good about trying to give you that information in terms of knowing who to contact for specific programs and just getting you connected. That's the way I see myself as an advisor, is someone who's going to connect you to other people and places that are going to help you get to where you want to go, and different programs and things like that. Yeah, and the other piece that I feel like both Yami and Natalie touched on that's huge for me is time management. And that's just knowing and having an idea of how much time you might plan on taking things and doing different assignments and activities, and then also scheduling that out within your remote learning. So making sure that you have a spot, or you've coordinated with siblings about using the computer, or talk to parents as much as possible about, hey, I need to be in class from 1:30 to 2:50 on Tuesdays and Thursdays every week, and that's part of what I'm doing. So just being clear with those types of communication pieces. The other thing I wanted to echo that both Natalie and Amy said is, you're going to feel like you're the only one going through this, and trust me, you are not. And I'll give you an example. I was in my class that I was teaching last semester, the student success class, and I had students do a lot of writing. My class was not very communicative in terms of talking in front of the group. So what I did is I had them do a lot of writing assignments, and what they did, I would hear them say, oh, I'm the only one that feels that way, and then I would get 10 papers that said the exact same thing. I'm the only one because I sit in my dorm and I'm not sure what I want to do, and I must be the only person feeling this way. I can tell you, you are not. Any feeling that you're having about college, you are not the only one feeling that way. And that's why it's good to utilize the resources when we provide them to you because that's a way to find those people who are also looking for resources. So it provides that community connection, and college is really about like who you hang out with too, and who you want to spend your time with, and you know, work on. I mean, I've told some people that I was part of the comedy improv team at Sonoma State, and I survived my time there because of them. I didn't live on campus because I'm from the local area, as I've shared with you all, and that was the group that kept me going all 5 years. I was to Sonoma State, and they're my friends, and one of them was the best man in my wedding. Like, so it's like you forge these relationships with people, and that keeps you going when the times are really tough. So just wanted to put a shout out to all that as well, and amplify what Yemi and Natalie were saying, because it was all, you know, really, really great stuff. And if you feel like some of these skills, like the time management, like, oh my gosh, that's really challenging, there are resources out there that can help with those types of things. And a lot of them were in the videos that were in yesterday's module about, you know, United for Success and the DSS office and tutoring center and things like that. They're all really, really great. And I can expand upon that if you want an individual type meeting there. And then as far as remote learning goes, I'll have Yemi and Natalie share their tips in a second, but for me, the best thing is to just try and keep as standard of a schedule as you can to fit with your classes. And as I mentioned yesterday, take that break when you're given that break in between your classes. Get up, move around, stretch, just be active in the way that you can. And that's possible within the situations that we're finding ourselves right now. So I went out and took a walk yesterday between meetings, because I'm like, I've been on Zoom for 6 of the 8 hours and I'm working, and that's too much for my brain to handle. So I need to get up and move. So those are some of my biggest tips. And again, on the one-on-ones, I'm happy to talk about those more in detail and how they fit your situation. But Natalie and Yemi, you've experienced this. I didn't do remote learning, so I want to hear what y'all say about having had last semester be what it was.
Well, for me, definitely, I think like to the start of my success would always be a planner. So I highly encourage you all to get a planner. I have one here, and I write down everything literally that I have to do throughout the day. That way I don't forget anything, because it's so easy to forget something. You get an email about it and then you don't write it down and then you forget it. And then once it's gone, it's gone. You can't go back. So definitely I encourage everyone to get a planner. And so with that also, you know, going remote, you're not really face to face with your professor, you're not face to face with any students. So I highly encourage you all to take advantage of your professors' office hours if they're doing remote. A lot of professors and like different departments have gone remote, and so they've been very they've been opening up way more Zoom meetings or Zoom meetings for students, and so definitely take advantage of those. And professors are also very understanding, and so they understand maybe what a student is going through. And so as long as you're being in contact with them, if you're having communications with them, let them know your situation. Let them know maybe something happened and you weren't able to turn something in or something, or maybe you're having more difficulty with something because it is remote. Go ahead and take advantage of those times that they put out for advising. I know it might be scary, but, you know, like I said, professors are just, you know, they're human beings just like everybody else, and they have families and they have lives, and so they understand. And so definitely I say do that, as well as like Michael had mentioned, breaks. You know, when you're on Zoom meetings for like from the 9 a.m. all the way to the afternoon, like it becomes a lot. So like reward yourself, you know, if you just watch a lecture and then like maybe take a break, have a snack, or like stretch, take a walk, and then get back to it and do an assignment that you have to do. But don't like push yourself to have to do everything all at once, because it does become a lot. And, you know, and being at a screen, you know, we're human beings, but, you know, we weren't meant to be in front of screens every day, you know? So like, it's something that we've come adjusted to, and it's become our normal, but, you know, it definitely, you know, self-care is so important. And, you know, also reach out to other students. I feel like that's important. Let them see what they're doing. Maybe if you're struggling with something, you know, students who are going and who are in the same class as you, I think that those have been very helpful for me. But yeah, planner. I definitely encourage everyone to get a planner. I think it will help you to get your whole life together, and then crossing out stuff is like the most pleasing thing ever. So yeah.
Sweet. Thank you, Amy. Everything Amy said is so accurate. So I do also have like a planner where I write everything down. So just kind of my normal day every day before, just kind of everything happening was getting up like early 6 in the morning, go to work. So I had 3 jobs: go to work, get it done, go to school as a full-time student, and just doing all the other extra stuff with all my other students as a peer mentor, and just everything was a lot. So just kind of getting used to being on the computer for almost a full 8-9 hours a day was very hard to adjust. And studying was also hard. Communicating with my professors was different. I'm glad Amy was able to take up all these opportunities of their professors. And I think it just depends who you are with. My professors were very non-communicative throughout the whole thing for a couple weeks because they weren't really sure what was going on and what were the next steps. But I think after a while, they noticed that as students, we struggled because we're not given the resources we were given when we were on campus. So it became kind of a routine where I had to hold myself accountable of what I'm going to be doing and what I need to complete. But at the same time, like Amy said, self-care is really important. And I didn't notice that until after a couple weeks after, when I was already kind of to my breaking point where I just couldn't deal with anything anymore. But after a while, I was like, you know what, like I need to take myself out of the situation where I'm like very stuck and very just in my head, trying to finish everything and do a whole self-care thing. I either go outside, go with my siblings, go play outside. So just kind of taking that self-care is very important. And by self-care, I mean like actually taking care of yourself and not kind of saying like, oh, I'm gonna do work for 30 minutes and then go for a walk or go to sleep for 3 or 4 hours and then come back and do like 30 more minutes. My thing is more of like maybe do 2-3 hours of homework, school class, and then do like 30-45 minutes of a break, go for a walk, stretch my legs, take a snack, interact with my family. So it's just kind of those moments, and also kind of seeing your successes and seeing like, I completed assignment today. That is great. I didn't think I was going to do it today. But I did it and I completed it, and let me treat myself. Like treat yourself as much as you can, because I think that's something very valid. And I always tell all my students and my friends and just kind of everybody I interact with, like, your struggles, your successes always matter. Everything that happens around you matters. And if you believe that you're stressing over a little thing and it doesn't matter, I really strongly suggest that you realize that things do matter all the time. It affects you mentally, physically, and emotionally. And just kind of being able to interact with people you hang out with, people that you know will be there and guide you and help you out of your struggles and kind of cheer you on with your successes is always a great thing. And thankfully I had friends and coworkers, and just kind of like Amy, every time I see her, it's like, good morning, Nat, like, we're gonna have a good day today, or I see her in the office, and just seeing each other and seeing that we're all fine and good and just kind of keeping up with each other is always well. I know things are different now because y'all aren't making friends physically, but y'all see each other on the screen, and maybe y'all can chat with each other or whatnot. But I think that's something that got me through the whole going remote.
Very cool. I have 3 things I want to touch on real quick, and then what I want to do is I actually want to open it up for questions for you all, and we can do that a couple of different ways. You can either in the chat, if you want to send me a direct question that you don't want to have to ask directly in front of the group, that's okay, and then I will you read the question out loud and we can kind of discuss it. And if other people want to raise their hand on the button there, and we can do something that's a bit more interactive because I want to hear y'all's voices, we can do that. Or if you want to ask a question directly, we can do that too. But the 3 last things I want to touch on, I want to address to that. from talking with you all and getting to know you and just seeing how attentive you all are, I can see that you're all very high achieving students. You all did really good in high school and you're all very deserving of being here. And I just want you to know that you've put in the hard work and that you deserve to be here. And there's going to be times that come up, especially, this is especially true for first gen students. And I still feel it. I still felt it when I went to grad school. I still felt it even at my job sometimes, that you somehow cheated the system to get yourself in here. That you somehow were like, well, they picked me for some reason, but I wonder why. I'm going to encourage you to challenge that thought pattern early and often in your career, because it's something that comes up and it's something that's been, researched on, and it's also something that you all can look at and say, no, I deserve to be here because I did the requirements for the CSU. I, took the tests, I did the classes, and I deserve to be here. So I want you all just to have that in your back pocket, to lean on when times get tough, because it's such a big thing. And I think it's actually especially hard for high achieving students coming in as well, because like maybe high school wasn't super challenging for you and you get here and you're like, whoa, this is way different. I know when I ran into my first semester, I was like, what? I was in my own orientation, I remember asking, and it seemed like such a dumb question. I asked a professor who was running orientation, I'm like, are the classes hard? And I'm sitting there thinking after I asked it, well, how would they know? Because they don't know what's hard and what's easy for me. So it was all kind of, it was just interesting that we don't know what to expect, but know that you deserve to be here. So that's something for sure I wanted to put out there, along with just addressing that your achievements already are very valid. And the last thing I wanted to do is just talk about the word self-care, because it's kind of a buzzword right now. I don't think I've told you all yet, but I have a background in mental health. I'm actually a licensed therapist, but that's not what I do here at Sonoma State. I'm an advisor. But when I hear people talk about self-care, I always want you to make it as specific as possible. I want you to be able to say, okay, my self-care thing is something I really like to do, and it's this. And, just picking some examples here, for Maria, that might be like drawing, but for Alexis, that could be something completely different. Maybe she likes writing, I don't know. But it's just, it's different for everybody, and it's something that's, not impacting anyone else, but helping you get to where you need to be. And there's a big difference between kind of like the time management thing we've touched on and then what self-care is. So self-care is the activity, whereas time management is structuring all the activities together, if that makes sense. So definitely wanted to just put that out there for you all, and in times of doubt that you can go back and rely on those pieces. And I want to put out there too, even though y'all might not be, with the DSS program after Bridge ends, we've made some connections here, and we're going to continue to make connections. And I want you all still to treat me as a resource and reach out to me even after Bridge is over, because I definitely want to connect you with where you need to go. So know that you've got us here at the start for some support. And with that, I'm going to stop, and I'm going to open it up if people have questions around these topics, whether it's about remote learning or just student success, and we'll do what we can to kind of answer those for you. So I'll let y'all have at it. Yeah, and if you want, you can just unmute yourself and go ahead, or you can use the raised hand icon, or like I said, you could throw a question in the chat if you want to remain anonymous in terms of asking your question. And I know teachers always say, ask the question you think you're thinking, because other people already have that question. It's true.
The chat's disabled, but how do you speak to professors?
Right. Thanks for letting me know about that. Nelly, do you want to check and look and see what the status of the chat is? I was able to send something, but let's go ahead and do that. Yeah. No, speaking to professors, I'm glad that got brought up because that can tend to be one of the more challenging things. Professors will have a specific time of day open at least once a week called office hours, and it will be on their syllabus in terms of what's going on. I think Rosin, your English professor, has kind of put down like when her office hours are, and that's a time where you can meet with her to talk about whatever may be going on. So it's really kind of an open invitation to talk about all sorts of different things. And this can include things that are just going on in the class, things that are kind of future planning, like, oh, what class might I take after this? Or, you know, letters of recommendation if you need something like that and you've had the professor for a few classes. And they're there. It's really just for open meeting time to talk about whatever you want. What I can do is I will find the document that I created when I worked for the United for Success program, and it was all about questions to ask your like your professors or your major advisors. So I can put that on the Canvas page so you all can kind of see what are some typical questions. It's really just about having that I don't know, that courage just to sort of ask for what you need for, like what Yemi and Natalie were saying. It's part of being your own advocate and talking to them about what's going on. Don't let the fact that they have you know, PhDs or masters intimidate you, because they want to get to know you. They want to know what you're about. They want you to help them with their research or continue what they're working on. I mean, that's such a huge thing for him. I mean, one of the really great, you know, professors who has advanced degrees is Dr. Baldwin, and he's in the GEP department, which is the Geography, Environment, and Planning. Natalie's nodding because she knows. He is the most cool, chill, like fun guy. I mean, he has so much energy, and he's just ready to meet with students and talk to them about all this stuff. And you'll hear him go into his topics and his research, and he just goes. And I've met so many professors like that that are just excited to talk to you about what they're doing. So it's like they're excited to meet with you, and what that looks like. So yeah, it's not just you coming because you need something. There's an exchange both directions of what's going on. But Yemi and Natalie, do you want to talk about your experiences with professors and what that's been like, and maybe even what it's like making that first contact?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like their office hours is a great time to like be able to just go and talk to them, bring any questions that you might have about anything in lectures. And then it's funny, I had a friend, she was like a couple years, like 2 years older, and like at Sonoma State for me, and she'd always talk about like how she would go into her professor's office hours and just like talk to them about their lives. She's like, go in there, talk to them about their lives. They love talking about their lives. And she's like, this is great, because then you're able to build those connections with them that, you know, will benefit you in the long run. Like, you know, if you ever plan to go to grad school and you need a recommendation from a professor, you've already built a strong relationship with a certain professor, and they know you more than a student. They know you as a person. They know your goals and your aspirations. And so I very highly encourage y'all to, you know, maybe just not talk to them about their careers. Maybe you're interested in the career that they've taken, and so you want to get more, you want to learn more. And so that's a great way just to start. And, you know, professors love that. And so, yeah, utilizing that. And also just like an email, if you ever have questions and you don't have time to talk to them about like, you know, their whole lives, or just like get to know them like that. You know, if you just need questions answered, an email is always great. Send them an email, and then, you know, hopefully they answer back, and they usually do in a good amount of time. So email is always good as well. But, you know, don't be scared, you know, office hours, bring anything that you might just want to talk about.
I agree with Amy. I feel like I've had really good experiences with my professors. I have like 3 of my top favorite, which is Baldwin, and then which is in GP, environmental studies, and then I have Keith, which is in political science, and then I have Cizelle, which is in sociology, one of a sociology professor, and they're all 3 amazing human beings. I think a lot of professors, like, we're human, they're human, and they're not different from us. They're just professors, and they love to listen to your stories, and kind of help you with your struggles, even though if they're not in class. If you have a problem, the majority of them are able to give you some advice. And don't be intimidated. I know it can be intimidating because you might see them as like the ones that control your grades, the ones that kind of look at you every day in class, but the majority of them are always like really glad that you go into their office hours. Take that opportunity, and when they see you in class, they're like, oh, hi, like, how are you, like, how was your day today? And you get to know them. And like Amy says, sometimes it's good and beneficial to have a connection or a relationship professionally with the professor, because they do and are able to give you recommendations that are able to kind of give you that kind of confidence you need to maybe apply to a scholarship, grad school, connecting with students. I've had many connections within the sociology department, either with people in the healthcare system and just kind of within other cities. And it's been amazing, and you connect, and it's very good to kind of socialize with other people and kind of get your foot out of the door before you're even out of college. So I think it's a really good experience to connect with your professors.
Absolutely. And even connecting afterwards. One final thing I'll say before we move on, we got a couple more questions that were in the chat, which is great. Two professors that I've worked with very closely. One of them is Professor Blumberg in the psychology department. He actually taught a disability class because that is his specialty before I had my job. And he actually encouraged me to apply for this job when after I took his class. So he was really instrumental in helping me with that. And he has always told me if I want to come to him and talk about a PhD, he's like open to that. So it's really neat that even afterwards, after you graduated, they help. And then the other person is Scott Horstein in the theater department. He invites me every year to direct some student created plays in the theater department to assist with that, because we've just had a really great friendship after graduation and things like that. So it's really cool to have those opportunities based on helping out with people. So the next question that I saw in the chat was about study abroad. So I know not as much about study abroad, but the person who does know a ton about it, her name is Hope Ortiz, and she is the coordinator for all study abroad programs. I can go ahead and put the link to her information in the chat in a moment, and she is just great with helping out and finding what that looks like. And there's a lot of different programs, and often the program, you will pay the same price you would pay for SSU, but you'll study somewhere else, whether that's, you know, Japan, Spain, Mexico, you know, anywhere. So it's really neat the amount of programs they have, and it's based by major. So you could go study psychology where it was created, or go study a language in the native country of that language. You know, we have an excellent German program here, and there's a lot of study abroad options in Germany. So it's just really great to connect with Hope and her team, because they can walk you through the step-by-step process. So let me go ahead and grab that link. And if Yemi and Natalie, I'm not sure if either of you have financial or travel study abroad experience, but if you do, please share.
So I don't have an experience in studying abroad. Unfortunately, it makes me really sad. I was in kind of the process kind of before the pandemic, just kind of seeing if I wanted to go for a semester, just to kind of get that taste of studying abroad. But you know, due to everything that's going on, plans change, people, and just can't really do anything about it. But I do really suggest you go. I've seen my friends go. They've had a blast. Culturally, they've kind of went with the mindset that things were going to be different, but they've made relationships in a whole different country from other universities that also went to the same country to study. So I think it's a good opportunity. I don't know if what Yemi has to say about it.
Yeah, unfortunately as well, I've not had the opportunity. Definitely have looked into it. For me, more nationally, maybe there's opportunities to go to Hawaii as well, Chicago. Puerto Rico. But like Nat, I've also had like, friends who have gone, and you can just tell, or you can see, that they've been able to grow so much and learn so much, build so many different relationships in different countries. And so I highly encourage you all, if you're really, really interested in it. They have great programs. And then so as well as Hope, I believe the whole webpage. Yeah, okay. So Michael put it in the link, and it's awesome because it allows you to really check out what school's best, what options you have that are best accustomed to you according to your major. And so it gives you way more information, but definitely take advantage of it. Like Michael said, sometimes it's the same amount of money that you would pay to go to Sonoma, or even less, just because living in the Bay Area, living in California is so expensive. And then just going to like Spain or something, or like, Germany, Australia, it might be way cheaper. So don't let that stop you. Definitely get more information. I'm pretty sure they have info meetings.
Yeah, you're required to go to an info meeting if you want to do that, and they go over the whole process. I've had a lot of people do that. And for DSS students, we do provide accommodations for people that go abroad too. So that's something else that we do. The next question is an important one, and I want to give time to address it, and that was about counseling. And yeah, everybody knows that I've been going on about DSS, but what about just counseling? So we have an organization on campus called Counseling and Psychological Services, or CAPS for short. And the way they operate, they work one-on-one with students to provide personal counseling. They also do groups, and they have a number of groups set up, everything from just kind of a Friday fun, kind of come in and do a lot of support, to an ADHD group, to women's groups, to not the perfect family type group where you can go over family stuff that's happening. So there's a lot of different options. And if the counseling department gets full, which they sometimes can, though they have hired more counselors, I think we have 10 now, which is more than we've ever had on campus before, which is great. They do help you find referrals through your insurance out in the local area. And they'll still be doing all of those things over the course of the semester. So they'll be remoting in and doing, I'm not sure if it's Zoom or if they use a different program, but a way to meet with you one-on-one for counseling. And I believe y'all will have some information about CAPS coming up soon in one of the videos, but let me just go ahead and send you their main webpage. And they have a lot of resources on here as well. There's a lot of times where different departments might walk a student who's in crisis over to CAPS because crises happen. And though they're not like a huge crisis center, they're there to work with that, with whatever you bring in. So there's the link to their website in the chat, and they're just a great piece. And like Natalie and Yami said, you're paying this tuition. One of the things that you pay for is the CAPS fee for your student fees. Same thing with the student health center. So use these places. It's free to you. You get a certain number of sessions for the year and everything. So take advantage of that. And if you're like, wow, I've never had mental health before, check it out just to see what it's like. You might see just different ways you can think about doing things that are just stronger for you. So you can make more informed choices about things related to yourself. So, and then I saw Sam put on the chat, what kinds of clubs and organizations have you guys joined or been a part of? So as I told y'all, I was part of the improv club. I was part of that for 5 years. And then I also did, it's called Psychi, which is an honor society for psychology majors. So some majors have their specific honor society that you can get involved in, and they do clubs and all sorts of different stuff like, events or fundraisers or things like that. I can't speak to any of the fraternity sorority stuff because I know very little about it. But that is out here, and it tends to be a very small type of thing. If you've seen college movies where they're like fraternities are everywhere, that is not what Sonoma State is at all. We did not have fraternity housing on campus, or even like a fraternity row type of thing where like if you go to somewhere bigger like San Diego State, there's like they're all over the place. Whereas here you won't find that. So they tend to kind of be their own population. And if you want to be a part of that, awesome. And if not, like if that's not for you, it's very easy not to be involved with that. So, but Natalie and Yami, feel free to jump in about your club experience.
Yeah, let's see, for clubs and organizations, I know coming in as a, like my first year, one that really popped out to me was Jump. They're very good in being, very connected with the community, so it stands for Join Us Making Progress. And so they have a lot of different opportunities to do like words to do volunteer opportunities. So one of them that I did like my first year was going to like a beach and do a beach cleanup with a lot of people. And so that really allowed me to get out of my dorm, meet new people, enjoy the beach, and also do something great for the community. And so I highly encourage y'all to look at Jump. I know that right now that it's all remote, but when we do get back in person and we're able to do these different activities, definitely check them out. Also part of associate students, it's more of an not much of a club and organization, so that deals with like kind of being an advocate for students and speaking on like certain issues. And then I'm also part of the Dream Center, and with that we have a club named Speak. And so that was just like, we had a lot of conversations, had a safe space for all students to come in and just talk to one another. I was interested in a sorority at some point, and I went kind of through the progress, and I didn't go all for it because there was other things that I really wanted to do. And sororities and fraternities, they are commitments. So if you are interested in them, know that it is a commitment. But through the process, I did meet so many people. So even if you just want to go and like see what they're about, you'll probably just meet a lot of people too as well. So I encourage you to do that. Also, there's a lot, if you're into sports, there's a lot of, if you're not able to be in the teams, there are a lot of intramural sports. And so I've been very interested in those. Unfortunately, with everything that happened with COVID, I wasn't able to, join one in the spring semester last semester, but they are there, and those are very, those are fun. They have volleyball, basketball, soccer, indoor soccer, a lot of stuff like that. So those have been some of the things I've kind of, been involved with.
I wanna echo real quick, Natalie, before you jump in. The Dream Center is an amazing place, and Rosa Salamanca, who runs it, is an amazing human being. What she has done to fight for the rights of people with who are undocumented is just, it's beyond words. And I also want to say that she has like a legal team there helping her now with all of that. So if you feel like that's an organization that you can benefit from, please check her out and get to know Rosa right away. She is excellent with her students. I also wanted to note, through the Rec Center, there's a program called Outdoor Pursuits, which you can join, and it takes you on trips like to Yosemite and to different areas, just to get out if you're kind of that outdoorsy type person too. So the Rec Center is a really, really great place as well. So Natalie, I'll let you finish this up, and then we'll give you all a break before we get back into the academic side of things.
Sweet. So I personally feel like I've been I'm not gonna lie, I haven't really been too involved on campus. I have been here and there, kind of jump in and out from certain clubs. I can't really stick to one because sometimes it's very kind of time committing, and sometimes I don't have the time due to, like I said earlier, I do have 3 jobs, and they've all taken up a lot of my time. But I do encourage y'all to join clubs and stuff like that. What I've been involved, I've actually worked hand in hand with kind of the CASE Center, the Center of Academic Student Enrichment, yes. So I work kind of with Trio SSS, Trio Student Support Services, and we kind of put on a lot of events and workshops and field trips, and just kind of promoting our program within the campus. I've also worked kind of alongside many groups in CASE just so that things get done smoothly. I worked hand in hand with Ashley So just within, I've normally just stick with case because that is my biggest thing right now. Moving forward into post college, kind of getting my master's in higher ed to help students like myself, help students like everybody on my screen right now, and help students that are in EOP, the EOP program. Other than that, I don't think I've been very involved. I do have a lot of friends that come from, oh wait, I actually am very involved. I am part of the peer mentor program where I have first year students kind of get involved and give them resources from their high school to their first year. And I've also should have been, very sad that I'm not, should be working with housing this upcoming fall and the spring, but I don't know how that's looking right now, but I'm waiting to see in how things are going to progress. So other than that, I don't think I've been very involved.
I'm just going to say that Natalie's totally downplaying herself because everything that she's talking about is super involved. And again, it can look like work and be more of a job type thing, or it could look like, doing clubs and organizations. And even if it's just studying and you do one extra thing, that's okay. I mean, for some people, like having their one thing is good to go. And for some, just doing classes the first year they're here is totally fine. It is all good. It's all about what works for you. So no pressure on, having to run in and join into 5 clubs right out of the gate. Like just, take your time, see what works for you, and just try to make it work for you. That's the big thing. So,
Sorry, Michael. So I just kind of want to reiterate just kind of everything we've talked about and using our resources. So EOP and CASE and everybody in those kind of programs have offered a lot of opportunities. I think a year ago, I was able to go to Japan with 13 other students and we had a blast. It was all through CASE, it was all through EOP, it was all through just kind of, and it was all free thanks to these programs. And I know Jesus Garcia Valdez, who also works with EOP, gives students the opportunity to go to HAKU, which is a program, Hispanic Association, something, college university, I think it's like that. And they went to Chicago not that long ago, and it was all paid for. They had a blast, I'm pretty sure. I don't think, Jamie, were you part of that? I don't remember if you were. No, right? But there is a lot of opportunities, and hopefully once we return in the spring and hopefully if things start to go back to normal, we get to have these experiences again. So just kind of keep an eye out for just
great. Thanks, Natalie. Last point I'll make, and then y'all can have a few minutes break before the academic side of thing. We've been saying the word case a lot, and I just put it in the chat of what that means. I want you to think about the umbrella metaphor and how, there's things underneath the umbrella that are going on. So if you think of CASE as an umbrella, there's a number of different programs that are under it, including the one that you're in right now, PORTA, and EOP, Educational Opportunity Program, are both under CASE. Also under CASE are the Seawolf Scholars Program, which is for students who have been in the foster care system for any length of time. That's another really great program. There's the TRIO Student Support Services Program, which is United for Success, and the Multilingual Achievers Program. And then also the Undocumented Resource Center that we mentioned, the Dream Center as it's now called. And then the newest group is DSS, where I'm at. So we're all kind of like one big family under CASE. And so when you hear that, we're talking about that style of programs. And there's actually a really cool place in the office where students can hang out, do work, and it's got a lot of really cool things. And there's a lot of workshops that get done and things like that. So yeah, just want to make that clear. So enjoy the next few minutes, y'all. I got to take off because I got to head to a DSS meeting. But again, sign up for the individual one-on-ones now on the campus page, or you can do it through email, either way. And I look forward to meeting you all individually. Thanks, Natalie and Jamie, for sharing, and thank you all who posted some questions, and I hope that was helpful for you. Tomorrow morning, I really want everybody on at 9 because we're going to start going over some academic stuff in terms of getting ready for registration. So I will see you all then. Thanks, y'all. You all are great, and I'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye, Michael. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Yeah, so
So I think y'all.
go ahead, Nat.
No, go ahead, Yami. Go for it.
Oh, okay, thank you. So I think we're gonna start at 11. So I think y'all have like a couple minutes, 2 minutes. Take a break. Take a break, get some water, stretch, do what you have to do, and then our other other academic staff should be coming in shortly. So.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, Roseanne. How are you?
Fine. Can you all hear me? See if this camera.
Yes.
I don't know why my camera isn't working today. A little technical difficulty. It keeps going back and forth. I might need to use my laptop. Let's see if it works. Good morning. Let's see. It's going back and forth. It's spinning. Let's see. Hope it's not internet connection. Okay. Here we go. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Can you all hear me?
I think she froze, right, Amy?
Can everybody hear me or no?
We can hear you, but your screen's frozen, Roseanne.
Can you all hear me?
We can hear you. We just can't really see you.
Oh, you're frozen right now. Hi, Roseanne. We can't hear you now. I think your screen is frozen.
Yeah, I guess not.
Oh, geez, this is a connection issue. crap.
Did she log off, Yumi?
Yeah, she logged off. Hopefully she comes back and it's better.
Yeah, hopefully she comes back, y'all. Just have some patience. Sometimes it's complicated. It can get complicated, but we're in this together. So just have some patience. Just wait on it. We should be back, so we hope y'all have your cameras on. If you don't want them on, just let Yami and I either know, your respective leader, the reasons, just so we know that you're here and present and that you're kind of interacting with the material Roseanne has prepared for y'all today. Okay? Thumbs up. Yay! Okay, let's see. Maybe we can play a quick game or a quick icebreaker before Roseanne gets here. Yami, what do you think?
I think that's a good idea while we wait. She might be switching to her laptop or something.
It probably is. Do you want to play I Spy, just so it's faster?
Yeah, I'm done.
Yeah? Okay. So how this game goes, so we're going to say I spy a color, an object, a texture. Let's see. Oh, Roseanne just came back on. Let's see if she is ready to go and if it works. Okay, it's connecting.
Hello, everybody. Can you all hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, good. All right. So I used my laptop. I have no idea what was going on. Okay. So am I able? Good morning. So how do we say good morning in Arabic, everybody? Let me put this way. Can everybody see me better like this? How do we say good morning in Arabic, everybody? Sabah?
Sabah.
Good morning. I'm happy to hear everybody's doing okay. And I just wanted to ask if I wanted to know if I have access to the share screen. Do I have access to the share screen by any chance or
You
no?
should. Yeah, you should be able to.
All right. So let me just double check that I do. All right. So let me here put this on for you. All right. Let me go here. A little technical difficult. I'm not used on working. I had no idea what happened with this. I'm laughing I'm like, okay, obviously nobody can see.
It happens. Don't worry. I feel like technology gets complicated.
Don't worry, this is normal with Zoom. I've
Here
been
we
lagged out.
At least now. Yes, kind of, sort of.
Yeah, we see your screen and we can hear you. Yay.
Okay, and the PowerPoint, you could all see my PowerPoint.
Yes.
Yay, we got this. All right. So just wanted to recap last time you all talked and did the article on James Baldwin. So today we're going to go into it and delve a little deeper into what was going on about it, what the main issues, okay? So this is where I just want you just to do a little active listening and take notes if you want to, but this is kind of grounding you because after that you'll be doing your paper on James Baldwin and the article that I talked to you about it's called the one that we talked about, Protecting the Treasure, that you're going to compare and contrast. This is going to be for tomorrow, and I know we're going to have discussion on it in a forum, but there's no Zoom class tomorrow, correct? That's what I understand on the syllabus that we have. So let's go and just want you to take notes. If you read the article, that's awesome. But just wanted to talk about today that we're going to talk about, give a little background about James Baldwin, discuss how race and how it affects worldviews and perception. We're going to discuss activities on Baldwin. Maybe we'll do a little break room. Maybe I'll let you do a little free ride, or we'll just do it as a group discussion. Play by ear and see what happens, okay? And then I'm definitely going to go over your homework. Are you all ready? Okay. So I thought, and I hope, tell me if you could hear this video. This is a really nice video about just a little background who James Baldwin is. And for those visuals, you may like it. But the whole point is, why is he so important when it comes to schools, education, and systematic racism that we're talking about now? We hear it a lot on the news. So just take a little view and get to know him, and I hope it works. And tell me if you're hearing. If not, just tell me if the video is working. I thought it was a really good video. I hope the link is working. So
as an educator, you already have a never-ending to-do list. Chances are you don't have time to...
Let's skip the ad. Is it working? Can you all hear?
Over the course of the 1960s, the FBI amassed almost 2,000 documents in an investigation into one of America's most celebrated minds. The subject of this inquiry was a writer named James Baldwin. At the time, the FBI investigated many artists and thinkers, but most of their files were a fraction of the size of Baldwin's. During the years when the FBI hounded him, he became one of the best-selling Black authors in the world. So what made James Baldwin loom so large in the imaginations of both the public and the authorities? Born in Harlem in 1924.
So James Baldwin, born in where? In Harlem, okay? How many of you knew that? If you knew that, raise your hand. If you didn't, take notes on that, okay?
He was the oldest of 9 children. At age 14, he began to work as a preacher. By delivering sermons, he developed his voice as a writer, but also grew conflicted about the church's stance on racial inequality and homosexuality. After high school, he began writing novels and essays while taking a series of odd jobs.
Okay, so was James Baldwin a writer? He was, and was also a pastor, I believe, and a preacher as well. So he did both, okay? So he's a writer. So he wrote many books. So here's the power of writing and how you could change ideas and perception. This is what he wanted to do.
But the issues that had driven him away from the church were still inescapable in his daily life. Constantly confronted with racism and homophobia, he was angry and disillusioned and yearned for a less restricted life. So in 1948, at the age of 24, he moved to Paris on a writing fellowship. From France, he published his first novel, Go Tell It on the Mountain, in 19...
So what's his first novel? Go Tell It on the Mountain, right? Okay, and in 1953, this is not very far from our time, right? This is not that far away in history when the first novel. If you want to read something good, you may want to read it.
1953. Set in Harlem, the book explores the church as a source of both repression and hope. It was popular with both Black and white readers. As he earned acclaim for his fiction, Baldwin gathered his thoughts on race, class, culture, and exile in his 1955 extended essay, Notes of a Native Son. Meanwhile, the civil rights movement was gaining momentum in America. Black Americans were making incremental gains at registering to vote and voting, but were still denied basic dignities in schools, on buses, in the workforce, and in the armed services.
So here's the key word. So one of the key words that he was discussing, and most of you might have read it in the article, is the idea of segregation, right? That's the key word here that he wanted to address, James Baldwin.
Though he lived primarily in France for the rest of his life, Baldwin was deeply invested in the movement and keenly aware of his country's unfulfilled promise. He had seen family, friends, and neighbors spiral into addiction, incarceration, and suicide. He believed their fates originated from the constraints of a segregated society. In 1963, he published The Fire Next Time, an arresting portrait of racial strife in which he held white America accountable.
So here's the fire next time, okay?
But he also went further, arguing that racism hurt white people too.
Okay, this is what he was trying. How many noticed in the article or found segments when you were reading paragraph or highlighted segment? I'm gonna make sure that I see everybody here. Highlighted segments where he talked about racism and how it hurts white people as well. That's a very revolutionary thought that he, at that time, wanted people to be aware of, right?
In his view, everyone was inextricably enmeshed in the same social fabric. He had long believed that people are trapped in history, and history is trapped in them. Baldwin's role in the civil rights movement went beyond observing and reporting. He also traveled through the American South, attending rallies, giving lectures of his own. He debated both white politicians and black activists, including Malcolm X, and served as a liaison between black activists and intellectuals and white establishment leaders like Robert Kennedy. Because of Baldwin's unique ability to articulate the causes of social turbulence in a way that white audiences were willing to hear, Kennedy and others tended to see him as an ambassador for black Americans, a label Baldwin rejected. And at the same time, his faculty with words led the FBI to view him as a threat. Even within the civil rights movement, Baldwin could sometimes feel like an outsider for his choice to live abroad, as well as his sexuality, which he explored openly in his writing at a time when homophobia ran rampant. Throughout his life, Baldwin considered it his role to bear witness. Unlike many of his peers, he lived to see some of the victories of the civil rights movement, but the continuing racial inequalities in the United States weighed heavily on him. Though he may have felt trapped in his moment in history, his words have made generations of people feel known, while guiding them toward a more nuanced understanding of society's most complex issues.
Okay.
Learn about
So let me see if there's one more.
other trailblazers of the civil rights movement with these videos.
Okay, so if you want more information about it, these are useful videos. Okay, so which brings me back to, I think here, where is, oops. Here we go, and oops, all right. So this is just a little background. Now I'm gonna open it a little bit just to see if you wanna open your microphone and tell me what new information did you learn about Bolden that you did not know before? Any new ideas? You're like, oh, that's interesting. Anybody wants to speak up, kind of give an idea what they learned? I'm looking at everybody. Just open your microphone and speak. What is something that you did not know about Bolden this video helped you understand? Maria, how about you? What did you learn about it? Maria?
I learned about like where he was born and how he moved to Paris and how that helped him too.
Yes, right. All right. And let's see, I'm gonna go down a little bit. Let's see if I'm missing anybody. I'm looking. Jason, what about you?
I'm not saying that I didn't learn anything new, but I liked how he like throughout the video it was like a constant comparison to the text, like where he constantly like refers to the racism and segregation.
Yes. Good point. Good point. And that's kind of, now this was written, did anybody like think when you're listening to this video, did you kind of try to think that we're in what year now, 2014? Is that still an issue that we're still facing when you listen to the news and everything? And of course the answer is still exists, right? We just wanted to make you aware of that. Anything else that anybody wants to add at this point? Like, oh, how many knew the name of his books that he wrote? Some of the books. How many of you read any of his books? If anybody read any of his books, if you read some of, okay, how many, this is the first time you heard of James Baldwin? Raise your hand if this is the first time you heard about him. Yeah, okay. Isn't that interesting in itself? So learn more now that you know his name, you know, and he actually was with the Kennedys, as you've seen. That's very interesting. And he kind of considered him very important. So check out his work, read about it. But on that note, I'm going to go back and thank you for your wonderful ideas here. I'm going to go back here and let's see what we have before I kind of, can everybody see the PowerPoint still? And the answer is yes. Okay, so this is the part here. Now, the historical context, 1963, which is during the heat of the civil rights movement. So some of the article or when he was writing his books, and even when this, a teacher's talk that we were talking about, a talk to teachers, I'm sorry, this article that most of you read, that was in the 1960s. All of this was happening, the civil rights. Who were the audience when you're reading this article? You might want to take notes. So this is the historical context at the top of their paper, if you have it, or if you're typing out right. This is happening during the Civil War. So this is going to help you in writing your essay when you're writing the compare and contrast. The next part, who are the audience? Most likely the audience were the white teachers who may stereotype African-American children at that time, primarily because the educational system for minority is flawed. So there's a lot of segregation, and it's like, remember, the idea of African-American children learning with the white American children, that was a little unprecedented, to use the word of the day, right? So that was something that he wanted them to move on. This is the thesis. Remember when I told you a thesis is the main focus? We talked about it, but here's what I want you to write that down. This is the thesis of this article, and I wanted to intentionally write it down just to give you an idea of how you're gonna write your thesis statement. So let's just read it together. Baldwin believes that it is a teacher's duty to get African American students to critically examine and challenge society rather than conform to society. Remember last time we wrote the word conformity, and I wrote it on the side for you. So this is the main focus of the article. And so this is the thesis of this main article. Think about it. Now remember, in the video, they also said that it harms white people as much as African American. That's what he was arguing too, I believe, in the video, correct? So what society, the societal norms, the social system, you want to see it as all being interconnected together, okay? All right, so that's the new thing that he wanted us to think about in this article. Give me the thumbs up if you want me to flip the slide, please. If you're ready for me, I'm gonna look here. Yeah, you got the idea. Did you see the key word? Is the idea is he wants us to be critically think about racial issues, right? And not say, oh, this is the norm. No, there's nothing called social norms. There's something called, in his point, conformity. What's the key word of the day? You conform to social norms and then call it social norms? Is there social injustice that we see? That's the key word, another key word that he was also wanted. Baldwin suggests that the Black student will not trust the white teacher, have their best interests at I think that's at heart. For example, Baldwin states that the Blacks really hate you because in their eyes, and they're right, you stand between them and life. That is a quote. I don't know, did anybody mark that quote when you were doing your notes? If you did, please. Oh, Kaylee, I saw your hand up. Can you tell me why you marked that quote, please?
Let me find like exactly how I worded it.
Yeah, these are some quotes that I loved regarding that. I'm happy you know.
Yeah. What I like noted is just like I didn't really understand how like that was even a thing, because like they're not really like hurting you just by existing. They're not affecting your life in any way just by being who they are.
Interesting. Okay, tell me a little bit more what you mean by not affecting your life, and where did you get that in the quote?
It says like you stand between them and their life, which just, it didn't really make a lot of sense to me. That was all.
Okay, so when they're saying their life, what is life for them? Now, who's between them hate you? Who's gonna hate the African Americans, right? The students are not gonna like teachers because they think they're standing between them and their life. What life are we talking about here? Who wants to jump in? It's a good question. Does life, I'm gonna throw a question and anybody can comment on that if you'll. Oh, I saw Tiffany, your hand is up. Go for it, thank you. I love it.
So I was thinking about how earlier in the article, Baldwin wrote about like how his hometown and how it was like so like dark and dirty because up in like the whiter states, they would actually collect the garbage. And he wrote about a Black person trying to experience or going to a predominantly white area. And he wrote about how so many Black people kind of get this impression of like, this isn't for you, like wealth and cleanliness and status and rights aren't for you. So I always thought like between the phrase of like you stand between them and life is like you stand between them and a life that is actually worth living, because he described racial segregation, systemic racism, and poverty in the Black community. So when he writes about white people, they usually don't experience poverty or systemic racism at the rate that Black people do.
So the life of their life and their desire for their dreams, to accomplish their dreams, to move beyond social class, for example, right? And to not live a life with dignity. Is that correct? Am I kind of translating that? Did you get that? So that's the life. Now, here's the question. We're in 2020. Did I say 14 previously? If I did, I'm sorry. 2020. We're in 2020. And has any of course now, is it changed in schools when we see that? Do you see a difference? What has changed? Is there more acceptance, do you feel, in schools than before for diversity? Raise your hand if that's the case. Tiffany, you're going, talk to me. I want to hear your thoughts, because I'm looking at your facial expression and I'd love you to share what you're thinking.
I think when it comes to like racial diversity, I think we've been doing well, but I'm only speaking for California. I went to predominantly Hispanic schools, and rarely ever did I find like another Asian or a Black person going there, let alone a white person. So my view is kind of limited on racial diversity, but I also want to talk a bit about LGBTQ acceptance, because that's also a form of like diversity and acceptance. And growing up, I saw that people were starting to accept homosexuality and LGBTness in like middle school. In elementary school, it was never discussed. In middle school, people were barely getting there. And in high school, that's when teachers and staff were more like outward in accepting LGBT rights. But it's only in college that I find other people who are in the LGBT community and who do have some form of racial diversity. Only in college did I like be in a classroom with like 5 other Black people or like 5 other Asians, you know?
Very good observation. Thank you for sharing those thoughts. Now, here's the key word. And this is generally speaking, we see a lot more acceptance for diversity in schools. But here's the key word. There's 2 terms, and this is not just in school. I just want you to do the 2 terms, and you may hear it on the news. There's diversity. And I think even though we do see a lot more acceptance of diversity, and I agree more with that, and thank you for talking about the colleges as well, but there's also the other idea of inclusiveness. What's the key word? Inclusiveness, right? How do they feel included? Like segregation and inclusiveness. You may be in the same environment. You may live on the same land, but to be included and part of that is a different experience, right? The idea of inclusiveness and acceptance. I think, do you all agree with me? And raise your hand. I know we want to go to the next quote. Do you all agree that inclusiveness is something that Walden is asking for? Raise your hand if you agree with me. I just want to see your hands up. Yeah, and I'm gonna just give the pause button for that and just say, does anybody want to open their microphone and add any new ideas before I move to the next quote? Please share your ideas. I love hearing your voices.
I kind of want to like,
yes, please. Thank you.
I agree with that, because my school is like really, I guess, not diverse, but we were like predominantly Asian. And even though we had like, I think my class had like 2 Black students that were graduating, and they like claimed to be diverse, but over the last like months, they've been like taking out, or they've been not confessing, but they've been talking about how they've not felt included in anything, and how our curriculum was really like behind, and we went into like, they changed our curriculum now because it was very behind, because we had like a slave simulation in middle school. So it was like a big thing, because it's not diverse and they're not being included.
Wow, thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that. This is, we're all learning new things, and this is not an easy discussion to have. So I really appreciate your talking about it. Anybody else, wants to say something? Please just open your microphone. I'm that kind of, Tiffany, I saw your hand up. Am I right? I'm looking at anybody. If I missed anybody, please just jump in.
Sorry, I don't want to interrupt. Someone else wanted to go before.
I was gonna say, I went to a predominantly white high school, but my high school there, they tried a lot to include everyone and to be very inclusive with a lot of different clubs that supported and brought up the different cultures that we had at our high school. Like, we would have like people from the different clubs like do demonstrations of like some of their cultures. But then with the students, there was a lot of like friction with that, where we had a hate crime done to a Muslim student who was she was the club leader of like the Muslim Alliance, where a white boy, he had followed her into the bathroom and dumped water on her and was like calling her racial slurs. And our high school didn't really do anything to find him. So it's like, it's this whole double standard of them trying to seem like they're inclusive and very open to our cultures, but then within the structure of our school, they don't really do anything to discipline when things happen. And so it's very interesting and sad to see that happen.
Thank you for sharing that. I know, I really appreciate, and I heard somebody else, I didn't hear somebody else did somebody else
That was me.
Tiffany, please jump in. And then Tiffany, I see your hand, if you don't mind. Go ahead, Aiden, right?
Yeah. I also went to a predominantly white school. I didn't personally find any issues with what's the word?
Inclusiveness?
Yeah, inclusiveness, because to me that never really mattered. I was like, look, I'm here for my education, and I know that, and I like the school for its education. So long as you don't mess with what I need to learn, I'm not really upset.
Wow.
Going off of that, I noticed that there was a kind of there were some issues with the school's way of teaching, but that wasn't really based off of race, as it was based off of like if you were in an AP class or if you were in a normal class. Normal classes, we only read 2 books. AP classes, we read at least 5. Normal classes, we had to follow a strict structure, which was absolutely ridiculous to me, made very little sense. And I felt like I was in like middle school as compared to a high school class and an AP class, where the first thing we learn is, how do you write an essay? How do you write a rhetorical analysis? How do you analyze this book completely inside and out? You don't learn that. It's just kind of like, really? So you only get a good education if you're in an AP class, but if you're not, well, you're just kind of the bottom of the barrel, huh?
Yeah. See, what is the idea of what I'm hearing you say? Well, the idea of white privilege and what happens, the idea of privileges that you see as system stereotypes also, and who's privileged in one system and another, and that could be
but I'd also like to say this is that I wouldn't really say it's white privilege, because the majority of people that I ended up seeing in non-AP classes were white. The majority of people I saw in AP classes, yeah, some of them were white, but I saw more Hispanics there than anything else.
Interesting. Okay. Wow. Well, thank you for sharing. Now, I must have misunderstood that. Thank you for clarifying that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. No problem.
Okay.
I understand
how. These are
confused.
fascinating ideas for me, and the way you're putting all this observation and your critical thinking is, thank you. I really appreciate it. Tiffany, go for it. I see your hand.
Just to add in another thing is that
yeah,
I grew up also in some people may call like the hippie liberal commie area of California, which is technically the Bay Area. And I grew up with a lot of like teachers who wanted to come off as inclusive, and so many, like, I grew up around so many white adults. It was only white adults that have exhibited this behavior, in my opinion, and from what I've seen, of like trying to be so non-racist that they come off as racist. It's mostly the whole point of view of just like, there's only one race, the human race, and just ignoring like other
colorblind.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you just kind of bash other cultures by trying to not bash other cultures.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I have seen this. I'm sorry for interrupting,
no,
but
no, I love this.
I have seen issues like this or heard of issues like this where people who are trying to not be racist end up inadvertently being racist. And I actually find that the teachers who are the least racist are the ones who really just don't care.
Wow. Interesting. This is good conversation, things to food for thought, and I really appreciate it. But here's what I want us to do. I'm going to give you these ideas. I love Tiffany's idea of colorblind. I love the idea of education and some social injustice we see it. But it's time, what I see happening is we're moving these difficult conversations are moving us from just being colorblind to color brave and speaking up, right? So this is very important. So I'm going to put 2 more quotes. I just want you to, if you mark them, raise your hand. Bolden points out that Black men were brought here as a source of cheap labor. Anybody mark that one down? Put your hand up.
I haven't marked it down yet.
It's a really good quote because, again, social class. Think about that. Number 2, quote 2, Bolden points out that whites have been brainwashing African American. I want you to see that quote within the context, okay? Very important quote. And think about those. So we got Bolden. Lovely discussion. I think we're so good on this one, right? Wait, give me a thumbs up if we got a clear idea. Awesome. Well, this is what I also want you just to think about when you're going to go write your essay. And we talked about the essay, but can everybody see that? Like, here's what I want to kind of put that up for you guys so you could see it. I hope slideshow. Here we go. Can everybody see that clearly? Give me a thumbs up if you see it. I'm going to go here. Oops.
Oh dear.
I'm using my laptop and I am so not used on that when I'm using my, here we go. So this is the viewpoint that you want to think about. Everything, remember when I keep saying everything is connected. Where did somebody grow up? The social experience, my race, my economic status, religion, spiritual upbringing, all of those circle together. They are, I like to think of it as the DNA. I like to think of it, this is my idea of how racial viewpoints get formed, okay? What is the idea of the keyword others? How is racial issue impacting careers? Is there segregation today? What are we talking about? We talked about that. We touched on those ideas. Given the time, I do want you to think about those questions, and we really thought, do I see the world through a privileged status? What is a privileged status? Okay. Again, privileged status is opposite to social injustice, right? It's that we want social injustice, justice, and so privileged status leads to social injustice sometimes. So here's other words. We're not going to have time to do all the discussions, but things that we talked about, and he talks about in the article, and you all brought it up last time and today in the conversation. There is a paradox. When we look at, we may be saying something, but our actions reveal something else, and vice versa. There's a paradox, right? And this is something we want to think about. And if you have time, and when you're thinking of your essay, what are some things that James would try to teach if you were a teacher? What would he want us as teachers? And you brought so much beautiful ideas up. Of course, he's gonna say, oh, you gotta be color brave, you gotta, what would he want teachers to do differently in the school system? What is social justice that we're asking for nowadays? What is his opinion? What is the keyword racial bias? So 3 things that we've talked about. We have civil rights, we want social justice, we want to address racial bias. These are key terms. And how can the school system and education help us to address those issues, those social problems in a proactive way? I think this is something he may want us to know about. And what role does language play in that? You know, something to think about as well. I'm always on the language side. So learning a new language help in that. Because I read some rights, and all of you, I love that you were taking Spanish classes. I saw some of you were doing that. Books that he wrote. Why I'm no longer talking to white people about race. This is a book, White Fragility. This is another book that you may want to check out. I love, if I'm driving a long drive, I also like to get the books. If you're traveling, if you're going somewhere, these are great books to read to on the road if you're not driving, of course. But these are his books and something to think about. Now, I'm going to discuss the essay prompt for you. Your essay, as we talked about, is comparing protecting the treasure, right? Right? And these two articles, right? Correct? Everybody got those? I'm going to go and read the essay prompt. Most of you, I'm going to go now to our Canvas, just so before I go there. Most of you now, I'm going to go to your today. I'm going to go what was today and then what is tomorrow. So, whoops. Go down, go down. Most of you should do this today, right? Okay, just so we're on the same page. What you're gonna be doing, and then I'm gonna go to your essay, okay? Just so I kind of like to ground. Ashley talks about, Dr. Ashley Hall is talking about this article. So I want everybody, just to make sure everybody got access to that, is I want everybody to please go to your online Canvas and click on the article. We can access it from the library, so I added a link for you. Can everybody download it, please? And double check that you have access to it. Can everybody check for me? At least one person to make sure you're able to access it and give me the thumbs up. And Maria, you gave me the thumbs up, awesome. So what I want you to do for this, not for tonight, is that you are going to read this, and the 3 steps that you're going to be doing is you're going to share questions and comments, right? Develop notes like you did for the article last time, including key points from the text, important quotes, just like we practice in a talk to teachers. Then you're going to do a discussion via discussion on Canvas. So you're going to go on Canvas. Is different than discussing like we had our everyday discussion, whether in a classroom or virtually via Zoom. The drawback may include a lack of energy from quick change you may have in person, or difficulty with setting down the right words when it comes to easier to talk on your own. The advantages may include feeling more comfortable. 3 steps to complete the portion. So first of all, share questions or comments on the text. Should elicit yes or no and help to provoke conversation. Read through the questions that your peers also wrote and comment, select one and write a response. Your response should be thoughtful, well-written paragraph, engaging the text and your peers' post, and share your analysis. So you're going to read your peers' post and share them. Read through the questions, comment, including revising your own question to see if someone responded to it. Select a conversation thread and write a response. Your response should be a thoughtful, well-written paragraph, engaging the text and your peer post, and sharing your analysis. And then you have until tonight to do that, all right? So any questions about this so far? If you have a question, just, you know, speak up if you want to. Is that clear, guys? Sorry, yes, I'm trying to get all of this.
I have a question about the essay.
Yes, I'm going to get into
that. When is it due?
Go for it.
When is the essay due?
Okay, so the essay is due. I'm going to go back here to see. Here you go. The essay is due. This is the for today. The essay is going to be due on the I'm going to go back to show you where the essay is due, because we're learning all of this together. So let me see here for everybody. All right, I'm just going to make sure. So for the essay, this is on the 24th, right? And I'm going to be giving you office hours as well, so everybody gets to see that, okay? Let me move this along. I'm just trying to see everybody and make sure everybody can see the screen as well. Live and learn on this one. All right, here we go. Syllabus. This is going to be for tonight, right? So today's the 24th. We had our Zoom. We discussed it. Okay. And then you're going to submit that. Your rough draft is going to be submitted on the 25th. Okay. So here's the essay. I'm going to go over it a little bit. I think we're okay on time. Okay. So this is going to be due on your first draft. Turn in your full draft via 6/26, okay? So that's when your rough draft is going to be due, on 6/26, okay? And when you're writing your rough draft, you will draw upon your free write notes that you took the first day, the discussions we have, James Bolden article, and I know everybody read that one. We're going to discuss it as well, protecting the treasures. And I'm going to send, today we have office hours. I have tomorrow as well. Once you start writing that, here, this part, you're going to compare this one and this one, Indigenous, by Laura Cooper, and presenting your own perspective. The essay is going to be 3 pages. How many? 3 double-spaced pages, okay? It should have a thesis, and you should discuss both thoughts, both ideas, both articles, and the similarities and differences. I'm going to give you a quick outline, but just know that. And you should include quotes and summarize segment of the text and include your perspective. And then you're going to watch this video, and then I will give you feedback on the rough draft, and then you will submit your essay later on. Does that make sense? Everybody, questions for me before I go and discuss more the essay structure for you, give you an idea.
I'm confused about the land article. So I don't know, hold on. I'm trying to formulate my own thoughts here.
That's why I'm talking about that. I left this time. Go for it.
So, you know, we access it through the library on Canvas, but what page exactly? Like what page numbers?
I'm sorry. So you were able, Tiffany, you were able to access it on the library, right?
Right.
Okay, and there's a link where you're able to download it too.
Okay.
And so what about that now? Go for it, because I lost your voice a little bit. I couldn't hear it. The mic, yeah.
Never mind, it's fine. I could email you later about it.
Yeah, okay, so was it not, you weren't able to access it? Is that the problem?
No, she was wondering what page numbers we would have to go through. Like, would
okay, so the
entire
page
article or just certain pages?
Okay, so the page Protecting the Treasure is in 18, just this chapter of Protecting the Treasure that you see, the 18 pages, yeah.
Okay.
The whole article. Read it and take notes, just like you did Talk to Teachers. Does that answer the question, Tiffany?
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
Okay, but email me, okay? Please do. All right, so let me go back just in case and clarify something here, because I love questions. Please don't hesitate to ask me questions. That's one of the things. So let's go back here to the day today. Oops, I'm going back here. And I'm going to page today, 24th. So this is what you're going to read. So this is today. You have today. Everybody knows what's due today, right? And then this is the 24th, which is today for you guys. And once you read that, you're going to view the video and create a discussion. And so once you develop your notes on the article like you did, you can come up with questions like we did. And I gave you examples from James Bolden. You could follow the same segment in your conversation and say, you know, I found this quote really interesting, and engage your colleagues and peers with questions about that, right? Okay, so that's one thing. But once you've watched the video, I think you just need to develop notes and read the article, so you could actually also combine what you see on the video with the notes. Does that clarify stuff? Raise your hand if this is okay. No? Is there okay? Yeah, and if they're like, you could listen to Ashley and say, okay, now that I saw Ashley, I read the video, these are some things I learned from both, and come up with good discussion questions. All right? Okay, so here's the deal with the structure of the essay. I just want you to go back just 2 seconds. I think I have a few minutes, just 2 more minutes. When you're writing an essay and you're writing a compare and contrast, this is what I want you to remember, that to use, I love these ideas, is these help me when I'm writing, because we all know that we're going to need a thesis statement, right? This is something we all know, right? In your essay, say yes, give me thumbs up. You're going to have a thesis statement, and I'll work with you more on that. But I like, when I'm thinking of my paragraphs, to also use transitional phrases. So say transition phrases. Everybody, somebody say it for me. Transition phrases.
Transition phases.
They help me. So when I'm reading 2 articles, I say, well, one similarity between Laura Cooper and James Bolden is this. And one difference is this. And that would be something I could write in the paragraph. They have similar ideas in these 2 quotes. While Lara Cooper, that's in the treasure argument, that's in the treasure, protecting the treasure, discusses acknowledging the land or colonial education. I'm intentionally writing this for, Bolden discusses segregation and cheap labor. You know, that's a difference. You see that? You see how I'm going with that? So these are great words to use if you want to do that. And again, once we listen to the structure, I will also give you more ideas of how to structure the outlines. So stay tuned with that. And also you'll be getting a Google Doc from me regarding scheduling hours, where I discuss with each of you your paper. And then we'll have a little bit one-on-one, especially if you're having difficulty, okay? So that way I'll give you individual feedback and ideas to help you develop your rough draft when you're writing it. Does that make sense? So on the 25th, we could meet. We'll have office hours if you want on that. And then we could do it later on before you submit your essay. How does that sound? Because we still have more time on that. Do we have a plan, everybody? Okay, I'm gonna ask now, I'm gonna open up the grid. I went and I love fantastic discussion today. I mean, I really like the discussion so much. So questions for me, I'm gonna hit the pause button. I want anybody who has a question to open the microphone and just ask your question. Any questions?
Yes, Rasa, I believe there's one in the chat box. It's asking for tonight's homework. Do we type our work in the text box, or do we submit it? Or can we just upload a file?
I think you should type it in the text box that's available. That would be great. And you could also, if you find it easier to upload it, either or, as long as I have it. Does that make sense, guys? But I want you to respond to the text. So if you want to upload it, just indicate that you're responding to this question your peers had put. Does that help, guys? Okay, I'm sorry. Is there any other questions I missed in the chat box? Thank you. All right. Let's see if any other questions? Because I am not able to easily, let me see, access the chat box here for some reason, my laptop, so.
Yeah,
all right.
That's the only question in the chat box.
That's the only question. Okay, so everybody's doing okay. Give me the thumbs up if everybody's clear on what to do tonight when the essay is. Was everybody able to access this? I'm gonna go back to make sure everybody's okay accessing this article, Protecting the Treasure. Thumbs up, everybody on your cameras. Yes, good. And everybody's okay and got key ideas on talk. So remember, your first paragraph is gonna be on a talk to teachers. The next paragraph is gonna be on this one. You summarize them, compare and contrast, similarities and difference, and add your perspective, okay? So first step, next class, is just read this today, take notes, and be prepared to discuss it, all right? Okay. Any other questions? And I'm trying to read.
Can I add something?
Yes, please.
when I submit my work, I usually use Google Docs. And when you press submit assignment, it'll ask you like from what file you want to. And there's a little button where it says Google Drive or Google Doc, and you could write the essay or doc you wrote on. It's just easier for me that way. So
I think it should work if you put the Google Doc, right?
yeah, I just don't think a lot of people know that. So that's why I wanted to say something.
Thank you. Yes, please do that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes. Anybody other? Thank you. Yes.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
I appreciate
I actually
that.
prefer using
Any other things? All right. We went over 2 minutes. I'm sorry, Natalie. Thank you for your patience with me. Guys, it's such a pleasure seeing you. Can everybody put your cameras up and can we say ma salami one more time? Ma salami. Everybody open your microphones together and say it loud. Ma. Salami. I know we can't get my heart energy. You'll feel my heart energy. It's such a pleasure to have you in my class. Everybody say Summer Bridge.
Summer
Bridge.
Bridge.
Bye, everybody. Contact me, email me. I will schedule individual office hours for you, okay? Bye-bye. Thank you, Natalie, for all your help. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
Natalie,
Yes.
so is the homework that's assigned like for an actual grade, like how does that work?
That's a really good question. Jamie, do you have more information on that? I personally know that they do check it. They do give you a grade, but I don't know if it's unit-wise. I think they do give you credit for it though. So I don't know if Jamie wants to correct me on that. I know last year, I think they gave a couple credits, but I'm not sure how it's working out this year.
Yeah, I believe y'all should be receiving a 1-unit elective credit for all of this work. I'm not sure how exactly like stuff is being graded, but I do know that like as long as you're doing your work, you're turning it on time, you're keeping in connection with professors, then like you will be receiving that 1-unit extra credit, which is awesome because, you know, that really helps you out in the future. You know, that 1 unit goes a long way.
Yeah, if anything, we can ask our advisors and see how that's going as well, okay? And we'll get back to you hopefully by tomorrow.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Hi, Natalie.
Hello, hello, welcome. Or I guess I'm joining, so good to see you all. Thanks for joining today. Are you all finished up with English already?
Yes.
Yes.
Nice. Did you all get a break?
No, they didn't.
Did you take a little break? Or no, are you guys just ready to get into it?
Do y'all want a little break? Thumbs up? Yes. Thumbs down? No. Yes.
Thumbs up. Do you want me to set my clock again? That seemed to kind of work well yesterday.
Okay, yeah, that's fine, Natalie.
Well, I will put another timer. What about 5 minutes? Does that sound good again?
Sounds good.
Okay. And what I'd like you all to do also, 5-minute timer, during this time is to get your M&M packets because we will be opening those up and counting them for the first part of today's lesson. So please take a break, and when you return, be ready with your M&Ms. All right, go for it.
The and ooms.
Huh?
I don't call them M&Ms. I call them the and ooms.
Oh, really? I didn't know that was another interpretation.
No, I just mess around with stuff when I'm bored.
Well, that's how it's written. And
The M&Ms, the and ooms.
And just harder to say a little bit.
Yeah, the and ooms.
Oh, did I start it? Oh.
Yes.
Okay. Restart. I'm distracted now. All right. That is our 5 minutes. Looks like some of us have rejoined us. Welcome, welcome. Now I can welcome you back. There we go. Cool, cool. All right, well, it's great to see you all again. Happy Wednesday. I just want to take a quick moment to clarify also any questions about grades. It sounded like you all were maybe having this discussion before I joined. But I want to let you know for the math component, you will be turning in some assignments, and I'll actually be telling you about something that you will be turning in later. Yeah? Was that you, Aiden? Is that you in your kitchen?
Oh no, I'm lagging.
Uh-oh. Yeah, I still see you not even joining us yet. You're probably right there though, but welcome back. Oh, there you are.
Yeah, that was me. I'm
great. Well, so anyway, I was talking about the assignments for our math piece and kind of how grades work. And all of the grades on our end, or the points, they're all just worth kind of like participation. If you are doing them and turning in the work, then you will get the points for this assignments. And actually what you'll see in the grade book, or rather not grade book, but on the assignment itself, it just says 0 points because we're not really keeping track for that. We're only keeping track if you do them. And if you put an effort. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I did notice that it says that the assignments are worth 0 points, and I was actually really confused about that. I was like, okay, so it's worth 0 points. I'm still gonna do it because we have to do it, but it's kind of confusing.
And so if you're not turning in any of those assignments, then yeah, myself and the other professional staff working with you will see that, and so then you might not get the units, but since you all are here and showing up and engaging, then you shouldn't have to worry about getting that credit. But do let me know if you have other individual concerns about that and what that might look like.
Okay.
All right. So, well, let's just get to it. So how did yesterday, the videos go, watching those for the math part? Good, yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, Martha and Carol, two of my colleagues, made those, and they had some great information for us. And so it's great that you've already seen some of that material, but what we're going to do today is actually compute some of those values that you saw in those videos. So computing the 5-number summary. And what we're going to do is compute those numbers associated to colors of M&Ms. So can I see your...
Yes.
They didn't give me a bag. I don't know. I should have asked for one. Okay, awesome. I know that maybe some of you might have not gotten M&Ms. So I'm really sorry if that's the case. I think I at least heard of one of you. And what I'd like you to do for this first part is just to find something else tasty in your house to eat in order to try to like bond with us and be with us. But we'll all be just looking at data in a little bit. All right, but what are you doing with those M&Ms before you eat them? You will be
recording down the number of colored M&Ms.
Totally.
According to a specific color.
Nice, exactly.
Sorry for stealing your thunder.
Well, no, it's great. It means that you're with me, Aiden. All right, so what you're going to do with them is count the number of each color that you have in your bag. And what I'd like you to do is record that number in our group, our shared group Google Sheet. So this is available on our Canvas, but I'm also just going to share it right now in the chat. And so, and edit. So what I'd like you to do is open up your packets, and as I said, as Aiden said, count the number of each color, and then record them in this sheet. And I'll just kind of show you how you record them. So you see here in this sheet that we have a place for you to put your name. It doesn't really matter. We're not gonna like ask you like, hey Natalie, are you sure you have this many M&Ms or whatever. But put your name there, and then just put the number of each color that you have in your bag. Does that make sense? Are there questions there? So all of you will see each other probably on the sheet filling in numbers, but that's okay. Just pick your row and then go for it after you pick that number. Are there questions about that? Okay.
Wait, where's the link to the doc?
Oh, I just sent it in the chat.
Chat.
Can you check the chat and see if you have it? Awesome.
All right, thanks.
And then while I do that, should I play some tunes over the Zoom? Any requests?
Okay.
I've been into the Jackson 5 recently. Or maybe we should play something from the early 2000s. That's our theme today, right?
2, 4, 6, 8, and 9.
And Aiden, maybe you could turn off your mic right now so
Mute
we don't get
myself.
others confused. There you go. Okay. Oh yeah, I like these. How about we play the cha-cha slide? From 2000. If this works here.
Let me ask you something. Does this Sentra feel like a compromise to you? No compromise on horsepower either? No.
That's an ad.
So
You
if
have to
this
watch it.
Nissan
Don't
Sentra
be
is a
influenced.
compromise, why should you? The all-new Nissan Sentra.
Wondering if you
We'll
could
pause it.
repeat.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah, what's up?
It seems like we have a student that just came in. I was wondering if you can go ahead and possibly repeat the instructions just so that he knows what's going on right now.
Cool. Yeah, so what we're doing is we are just, and I'll put it in the link or in the chat again, we are just recording the number of each color of our M&Ms in this link. So who's joining us here? All right.
Yes, awesome. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah, so whoever you are, just open up your bag of M&Ms and then start counting. And it looks like most of us are finished up anyway with the count. And so yeah. And that was just the cha-cha slide by, actually I don't know who that's by. I missed it. I deleted it. Oops. I should have shared that. But it's a good one to know, you know, for the parties and the weddings that we are not having right now. But anyway, that's a good one. From the early 2000s, so we're keeping the theme up. Awesome. Well, great work, everyone. I'm pointing to your sheets right now. Look at all those data values. Really awesome work. Quick. Thank you so much for doing that so quickly. Looks like we should have a couple more filling in. So what we're going to do now, though, is to create dot plots with these colors. So you saw in the videos yesterday that when you have one quantitative variable, so in our case, it would be like number of red M&Ms, that would be a variable, red M&Ms, and it's quantitative because it's a number of red. You can represent this information on a box plot. And so we are going to do that right now together. And then after we see how that's done together, I'm going to put you all into breakout rooms and you're going to create box plots for the other colors. How does that sound? Cool. All right.
Sounds great. Can we eat our M&Ms?
Yes, you can eat your M&Ms. Sorry, I didn't say that. Once you have your count, please feel free to eat away. But keep your mics off so we don't hear the chewing. Okay. Who chews M&Ms? I do, I guess. Or I suck. I don't know. I do both. Okay. Anyway, we can discuss how we eat our M&Ms later. But for now, we're going to look at this red data. So in order to create a box plot, we first need some numbers, some summary numbers. What do we call those numbers? Feel free to use the chat too. They're called the blank summary. Okay, I'm not really giving good leading questions here. So we have the 5-number summary, right? So we need to first compute 5 numbers associated with this data. And what were those numbers? Can someone tell us? Some of us trying, but maybe the mic's off. Try again.
Do you mean like, oh, sorry, like mean, median, mode, average? I can't think of the other one.
Actually, we don't even need all of those.
Okay.
The 5, you're working too hard. The 5 number summary are just 5 numbers, the minimum, the Q1, great, looks like some people are also contributing. Yes, Q1 is a part of it. Then the median, then Q2, and the max. So those are the 5 number summaries that we need. 5 number summary that we need.
Q3.
All right, so we can do that for our red data. So in order to find the minimum, how should we do that?
Find the smallest one. Smallest number.
Smallest number, right?
Record.
And so I don't want to work too hard, really. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy all of this data. And I'm just going to, actually, I'll just put in a new tab here, plus down here. I'm going to copy all the data, and then I'm going to sort it so that I don't have to look through and see, okay, what is the smallest one? So I do that by clicking on this little arrow here. And then I'm just going to go down to sort A to Z. We have numbers, but if I sort A to Z, it'll also sort this information for me. Pretty awesome. So what would be the minimum? 2. Awesome. So our min is 2. I'll write that in the Google chat. What would be our Q1? Maybe let's take a step back there. So oftentimes, rather than just do the numbers in order, I start with the min and then the max, right? That might make the most sense. So what would be the maximum?
13.
13, right on. And so I do the min, the max, so I should say max 13. And then I do the median. That's the middle number, right? So to find the median, we can say, well, how many total numbers do we have? 23. So which of these numbers would be the middle of the data set?
8.
8, well, let's see. 8 might not be quite the middle because if we have, or no, you actually found, okay, never mind. You're a step ahead of me. Okay, well, yeah, so we have 23 total numbers. So the middle number, well, it wouldn't be the 10th, because that wouldn't be quite enough. 11, not quite enough. 12 would be the middle number, right? Because with 12, we have 11 numbers above it and 11 numbers below it. Is that right? So this 12th number would be the median, and that number is 8. So I can even decorate this as the median. This would be the min. This would be the max. And so now we just need to compute our quartiles. So to compute Q1, the first quartile, we look at the first half of this data, whoop, and we find the median of it. So for that,
7.
we can, yeah?
For
7?
Q1, I think it'd be 7.
Yeah, so we have 12 total numbers. So we would look at the middle number, and that would be the 6th number. So here would be our, nope. And then for Q3, we could look at the second half of our data and look at the middle number.
8.
Is that the 18th number?
I think it'd be the 17th.
And you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, we can, in our case, we have both 8 in each of them. So we use the 17th number, which would be Q1. Nope, Q3. Right.
2. No, Q2.
Great question. So I heard somebody say Q2, is that you, Aiden? So Q2 would be the second quartile. So that is another word for the median. So just like with the dollar, we have 1 quarter, 2 quarter, 3 quarter, 4 quarters. Q1 is like the first quarter. Q2 would be the first 2 quarters of data. Q3 is the first 3 quarters of data. And then Q4 would be like the maximum. All right, so now we're almost set to draw our box plot, but we just need to compute one more number, and that is the fences for the outliers. So what I'm going to do at this point is share my screen, or share my iPad screen, rather. Okay. So that we can see all together how we'd actually compute those fences and draw that box plot. All right, so I'm just going to repeat the data values that we already found so that we have all of our information. So that would be the 5-number summary. So, and I'll just copy this down because you can't see it on the other screen, but we have the minimum was 2. The Q1 was 7. The median is 8. The Q3 is also 8. And the max is 13. Can you all see that okay? Okay. All right, so now we just need to know the fences for our outliers. And that was the video with Carol Kaig, rhymes with egg video. So to compute, we have kind of 2 fences, a lower fence and an upper fence. And so the lower fence, maybe I shouldn't decorate quite yet. The lower fence, well, we start with our lowest our lower quartile, Q1. And then from that, we subtract 1.5 times the IQR. For our upper fence, we start with Q3, and then we add 1.5 times the IQR. So in order to do that, we first need to compute what was the IQR. And IQR stands for inner quartile range. So we use our 2 quartiles and we find, well, what's that range? What's that difference between those 2 quartiles? So that would be Q3 minus Q1. So that would be what? Q3 is 8.
8 minus 7, giving us 1.
Right on, equals 1. So our IQR is
do I
1.
get a gold star?
Yes, virtual gold star. There you go, Eden. You all are getting gold stars. All right. And so we have our IQR. Now we just need to compute those fences. So the lower fence would be our 7 minus 1.5 times 1, which would just be 7 minus 1.5, which would be, I'll give you all just a moment to think about that. We're getting something close to 5.5.
Oh, dear.
Maybe?
No, I just messed up typing.
Okay, no worries. All right, and then the upper fence would be starting with Q3. So that would be 8. And now we're going to add 1.5 times 1, which would be 1.5. So we should think of, why do we subtract and add? Well, it's like we're expanding the fence. So we have these Q1 and Q3s that are holding sort of like much of the data, and then the fences are just sort of expanded. So we need to subtract from the Q3 and add to the subtract from the Q1 and add to the Q3 to expand it in both directions. And so this would be 9.5. All right. And so using this information, we can then draw our box plot. So our data goes from about 2 to 13. So I'll set up my first number line here. to represent the numbers 2 to 13. So I'll just start with 0, and then I'll go maybe to 15, could be a good one to include all of it. Mark off maybe, oops, mark off my number line here. So I'll say 5, 10, so 1, 2, 3, oops, those are a little too close. There we go. So just marking off my number line. All right. And so to draw the box plot, I first need the box. And for the box, that is just determined by our Q1 and Q3. So our Q1 is here at 7. So 5, 6, 7. Our Q3 is 8. So just one more over. Perfect. And there's my box. Now I decorate my box with the median in the middle. So our median is 8. So that's actually the same as our Q3. So then our box actually doesn't look any different because that middle and the end are just the same line. Okay. So we've used, great, these bits of information. Awesome. And now we just need to determine where we have our whiskers go to. So we have our fences here, and those fences actually don't determine the whiskers, but we'll use them to determine the whiskers. So our, yeah.
Sorry, what are whiskers?
Great, whiskers. So I'm using the word whisker. Whisker are the lines on our box plot that like extend. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you.
These box plots are often called box and whisker plots because they kind of look like a cat or something. So I'm using whisker to talk about the lines. So yes, thank you for that question, Tiffany. So we need to know how far do our lines extend? Oh, and it looks like Aiden's lagging again. Okay, well, hopefully he'll catch up in a little bit. I'll try to slow down if you want me to. But please use the chat or just shout out if you have other questions. And somebody, can other people hear me okay?
I can hear you.
Okay, thanks. All right, we're getting to the juicy part, so I want to make sure we're all on board. All right, so as I said, so to determine how far to draw our lines, we're going to use the fences. They won't, as I said, they won't be where our lines go to though. But how will I use them? Well, I'm going to decorate toward my box plot here with the fences. So I'm going to put 5.5, that's right here. I'm going to use another color. That's right here. Here's one fence. There you go. And then my other fence will be up here at 9.5. So those are my fences. And so what that means is that any data that lands outside of that is going to be an outlier. And so if I have data values outside of these fences, then I'm going to decorate them on my box plot with stars. And so if we take a look at our data, well, let's see, you can't see it anymore. But if I look at my data, I see that there is, under the 7, there is 6, 5, and 2. So I'll write that down. So this we have 6, we have data that is 6, 5, and 2. Which of these are outliers, if any? See, the 6 would land right here, the 5 would land here, and the 2 would land here. Tiffany says 2 and 5. Awesome, exactly. So the 2 and the 5 are outside those fences, so we decorate them with stars, or we denote them as stars. I'm going to use red again. 2 and 5. There we go. Awesome. Great. Looks like Eden is rejoining us. Okay. And you all will have a chance to do this in groups in a little bit, and you can I can help you with any questions you have then. All right, so now we're going to see if we have any outliers on the other side of the fence. So our other data, I'll write down, above Q3 is we have another 8, we have a 9, we have a 10, we have a 12, and a 13. are any of these outliers? Let's see, the 8 is down here, the 9 is here. Awesome. And Tiffany again says 10, 12, and 13. Exactly, because the 10, the 12, and the 13 are all outside of these fences. So 10, 11, 12, 13. So now we have our outliers. So now to determine how far to draw our lines, what we do is we ask, well, which is the data value, or what is the smallest data value that is inside our fence? So our fence was at 5.5. So do we have any data, like what's the smallest data value in this area? Well, you can't see the data, but if you're looking at it on your computer, maybe you have it open, you'll see that we also have a data value of 6. Awesome, and Maria says 6, exactly. So we have data value that is 6. We also have one but at 5, but 5 is outside the fence. But 6, that would be the lowest value that is inside the fence. So we would draw our line to the 6. And then we ask the same question on the other side. But we say, what's the largest value inside our fence? And Maria again says 9, exactly. So we have an 8 inside our fence, but that's not the larger one. 9 is actually larger than 8. So we draw our other box, our other line to the 8. And then now I don't need these fences anymore. They're not really a part of my box plot. So I can just erase this. So my box plot would be this image here. And so to complete the picture, we might want to say number, or give this box plot a label. Number of red M&Ms. Or and m's, as some people pronounce them. Okay, what questions do we have about this? Okay, so at this point, what I'm going to do is break us up into breakout rooms. And what you all are going to be working on is creating this box plot in your breakout rooms. And in your rooms, I'll assign each group to a different color, excuse me, a different color. And a couple other things before I let you go with that is that in order to collaborate with each other in groups, I'm gonna give you all access to share your screen. And then what you'll do is be able to annotate on each other's screen. And I just got a question here asking about someone's not quite sure about the IQR and the where the 1.5 comes in. So I'll just make a couple quick notes to everybody, and then we can get into groups and I can chat more individually if you want. But so the IQR and 1.5, they do feel like they just come out of nowhere. And at this point, they kind of do. We don't have enough kind of tools in our toolbox to really justify why these numbers are used. But what it does do is kind of give a sense of where we should expect data to land. And that's where the fence is, how we form them. And how do we do that? Well, we use this method here. We compute the IQR, and then we add 1.5 the IQR above the Q3 and subtract it below. And so the IQR is really simple to compute. We just determine the range of those interquartiles. So 8 minus 7, 1. So it has a range of 1. And then we use that to make those fences. So for now, I guess we're going to get into this routine and practice of setting up these box plots, but using that IQR method. And so I'd love to chat with you more for the student who had that question if you want to dive deeper into that. All right, so as I said, you'll be able to share your screens in your breakout room. And I also want to encourage you, some of you will just be able to use the whiteboard feature on Zoom in order to share And then you can annotate on Zoom as well. So if you notice on, if you find your Zoom controls, there should be an option to annotate. And so you can annotate on a whiteboard. That way you can also use an app online that will allow you to share a whiteboard and collaborate on it. So I'm gonna share this in the link in the chat right now as a resource and a tool for you to collaborate on whiteboard. If it just works out well for you and your group just to chat out loud and ask each other questions or be like, oh, what about this? Then that's fine too. I just want to provide that whiteboard resource. All right, so what I'm going to do is break you up into groups. And as I said, I'll assign each group a color, and then you will make your box plot for that color. And before I let you off, I'll just say, or loose, I'll say one thing is that for homework assignment today, you'll be uploading pictures of your box plots. So this will be part of your homework for tonight too. So you're getting ahead.
Natalie?
Yeah.
Is it okay if I excuse myself from the breakout rooms? I don't know if you put Yami and I onto one. I'm going to be working on kind of the material for our summer bridge leader breakout.
Yeah,
if
that's no problem. I will just randomly assign the rooms, but you don't have to join.
Okay, sweet. Thank you.
Awesome. But everyone else, please join your rooms when I assign them. And just so we all are, or actually once I get you into the rooms, I will broadcast the expectations so you know what you're working on. But again, it's just you're making box plots for your assigned color. Okay, and I'll assign the color once you're in the rooms. Are there questions before I send you in breakout rooms? Okay, well, I will be trying to pop in to the different rooms just to check in on you, but feel free to come back to this main space if you do have a question right away, and I can try to address it quicker. Other than that, I will probably give you all a check-in in about 10 minutes, and then we'll start to close the rooms, and I'll just address at the end any remaining questions, but we'll plan to be done by 11:50. How does that sound? Cool. Okay, let's do this. So, all right, how many colors do we have left here? Oh, and also feel free to, when you use your color so that you can sort it, feel free to do as I did and just select all your data, copy it, and then paste it into a new sheet so that you can sort the data on your own sheet. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different colors. So I'm going to give 5 other rooms. So you'll be in groups of 5 to 6. And let's see. Okay. All right, go for it.
Wait, there's Natalie.
Hello, hello.
Oh, it accidentally kicked me out the Zoom call because I was going to join the breakout room, but then it kicked me out the Zoom call.
Oh, no worries. Just give me one moment. I'm just gonna write out the colors for the groups.
All right.
And then I will assign you back to your room.
All right, thank you.
Joining us. 1, 2, 3, yellow. 4, awesome. And Israel, what room were you in?
I said breakout room 1.
Great. Okie doke. There you are.
Thank you.
Have fun.
Thanks.
I have a question. I didn't get assigned to one.
Oh, oops.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, wait, never mind. I just did.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, have fun. Let me know if you have questions.
Hi, I had a question.
Yeah.
So we're barely on our line, and we were wondering if we could have a couple more minutes.
Yeah, that's fine. I just want to give you all, I mean, you can definitely work more on your own.
Okay.
The rooms are already actually set though to close because I already set them, and then yeah.
Okay.
So I'll have you all
Oh.
do that on your own.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for the question. All right. All right. Well, welcome back, everyone. Time flies, doesn't it? That seemed to go really fast. I anticipate that you probably weren't able to finish all of your box plots yet, and that is totally okay. Because part of today's assignment, so I'm not sharing screen right now. Oops. Part of our assignment for tonight is to finish that and submit it onto Canvas. So if you notice on our Wednesday day, our complete on your own time, the quantitative reasoning homework is for you to take a picture of your box plot and upload it into this assignment here. So that'll give you some practice as well using Canvas and uploading assignments. But I understand not all of you are finished, and that's completely okay. You can certainly work on this with each other throughout the day, but our official kind of like session together is over at 11:50. So I wanted to respect all of your time and close up the breakout rooms. And so Natalie or Yami, do you know do students have each other's contact info or?
I don't believe so, but we could get on that maybe after during our summer bridge leader breakout, so they can have each other's number or any way to contact.
Yeah, because I want it for those of you who are working in your breakout rooms, I do want you to be able to contact each other. So maybe actually, why don't we just take some time if you want to do that now? Feel free to do that in the chat so that you have each other's like maybe email or phone number to be able to ask questions. But as you're finishing these up, also feel free to email me with questions. I'd be happy to meet with you. I'd be happy to Zoom with you and walk you through some of these steps. And so if you want to just email me to set up a time, I would love to chat with you. So I will also include my email in the chat again.
Wait, so when we upload the assignment, is it just a picture of our own box plot?
Yes, you'll just upload your own.
Okay.
Yeah, and the purpose of working with each other in these breakout rooms was for you to have a group to bounce ideas off of and work with. But you will just be doing it on your own. Oops, and I just emailed that just to one person. So I'm just going to include in the chat again my email. You can also contact me through Canvas, and we can set up another time to meet. Yeah, this is kind of a fast session today, so I appreciate all of your hard work on this. But at that, I'll let you go because it's past 11:50. Yeah, feel free to let me know if you have any questions or want to chat later.
Thank you, Natalie. Just is it possible for you to make me post again?
Yep, let's do that. Let's see. I think when I go to, I'll even just leave the meeting. All right. Well, I will see you all soon. I'm going to leave it and then make Natalie the host again.
Bye, Natalie.
Awesome.
Thank you, Natalie.
Wait, did she leave?
Yeah, I think.
Oh, yeah, she did. I don't see her on the screen. Okay, so let me make the room. If y'all want to take a break, Amy, is it okay if I meet with you really fast?
If you leave it with me?
If I meet with you.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God. Many more minutes left.